These are the most insane military trainings ever, soldiers crawling through fire, drinking poison, and surviving the impossible. If you think you've seen tough, you haven't seen this. Hell Week is the most extreme military training in the United States, a 6-day nightmare designed to destroy 90% of those who try. Recruits get less than 4 hours of sleep in total. They run over 200 miles, perform thousands of push-ups, and spend nearly half their time soaked in freezing Pacific Ocean water. The goal isn't fitness, it's psychological warfare. Instructors deliberately break the rhythm of rest, food, and warmth, because real combat never gives you comfort. Candidates are woken up every few minutes by explosions, alarms, and shouted orders. They eat while running, they sleep while standing, and they keep moving while their bodies begin to shut down. Every hour, instructors demand teamwork. They carry 200-pound logs, crawl through mud, and paddle rubber boats in ice-cold surf. If one man slows down, the whole team pays the price. The ocean becomes a weapon, waves slam them into each other. Salt burns their eyes and the cold drains their strength. Many collapse, some quit. The few who survive are those who stop thinking about pain and start focusing only on the next command.
Whoa, girl, you know what that means? That means drown your face in the sand. Hoo-yah, head down.
By the end of Hell Week, skin is torn, feet are bleeding, and minds are gone. Out of 150 trainees, maybe 15 will finish. Those who do aren't stronger, they're simply impossible to break. That's what the Navy SEALs are built on: endurance, obedience, and absolute mental control under chaos.
This grew up as a group.
This is Hell Week, not a workout, not a test. It's a filter that separates the body from the mind, and the ordinary from the elite. They don't call it training. They call it rebirth. Before you earn the Spetsnaz patch, you lose everything. Your comfort, your pride, even your name. Recruits are stripped down to nothing, then thrown into Russia's frozen wilderness, where the cold feels alive and the ground punishes every step for weeks. They march through snow with 40 kilos on their backs, crawling under barbed wire, plunging into rivers that could freeze bone. The wind cuts through uniforms, the cold bites through skin. But stopping means failure. And failure means you never come back. Sleep? 2, maybe 3 hours a night food? Whatever you can grab while running. Every order comes like a gunshot, fast, brutal, absolute. They don't want strong soldiers. They want obedience under chaos, punches, push-ups, frostbite, confusion. Everything is designed to break rhythm, to erase the thought that pain is something you can resist. You stop reacting to pain. You start using it. When you can't feel your hands, they make you fight bare knuckle. When your voice cracks, they make you scream louder. When you fall, they make you carry another man. And when you finally stop asking why, they know you're ready. Spetsnaz isn't about muscle or medals, it's about control. The kind that only comes after total collapse. By the end, the few who remain are not unhurt, they're unbreakable. Their hearts beat slower, their minds quieter, their instincts sharper. They've learned the one rule of Russian special forces: pain is temporary, obedience is forever. This is Spetsnaz, where the mind survives long after the body fails, where men stop being human and start becoming weapons. They barely survive. In the high-altitude front lines of China, where the air is thin and the snow swallows a man to his chest, soldiers learn one rule. They run shirtless through the snow, slamming ice into their chest to shock train the body against extreme cold. Under heavy snowfall, they brace on a wooden log to build raw endurance and core strength. They climb through hanging tires to sharpen agility, balance, and upper body power. They lift heavy tires overhead to strengthen shoulders, back, and overall cold weather resilience. 30 kilos on their backs, rifles freezing in their hands, breathing like fire in their lungs. When they fall into a hole of packed snow, no one helps. They climb out or they fail. The slopes are brutal. One rope, sheer cliffs, and wind sharp enough to cut skin nights are worse. The temperature drops so fast it steals your breath. 2 soldiers share one sleeping bag. Not for comfort, but because freezing alone is death. Every hour is pain. Every mistake is dangerous. But this is how China forges mountain fighters. Soldiers who can outlast storms, cliffs, and the kind of cold that kills in minutes. They say only the dead have seen the end of war, but in Pakistan's SSG, the fight begins long before the battlefield. Here, soldiers are forged where weakness dies. In urban combat drills, teams storm kill houses with ruthless precision, every corner a threat. On the hanging ladder gauntlet, recruits swing upside down across steel bars, knowing one slip ends their journey under the burning sun. Weighted endurance runs crush their lungs as they sprint with dumbbells and full gear. Through barbed wire crawls, they drag themselves through dust and steel, bleeding and breathing dirt. In explosive push drags, they charge forward like beasts, bodies half buried in the ground. Rope climbs test pure grit as soaked uniforms and shaking arms fight gravity. High parallel ropes force them to balance fear and focus, suspended between sky and earth. They smash through hanging tires, bodies squeezing through tight spaces designed to trigger panic. Over step platforms push their reflexes to the edge as they sprint across narrow beams at full speed. And finally, advanced CQB drills mold them into a single lethal unit, clearing hallways with perfect synchronization. This is more than training. It's a crucible that turns ordinary men into Pakistan's most feared warriors. Here, survival isn't given. It's earned, inch by inch, breath by breath. Welcome to SSG Pakistan, where legends aren't trained, they're carved. They're not trained in comfort. They are forged in the raw brutality of Africa's toughest terrain. In the UPDF Commando course, the first lesson is simple. If the land doesn't break you, the instructors will. Their mornings begin before sunrise. Long distance runs through thick bushland, every breath filled with dust, every step sinking in uneven ground. The heat suffocates, the humidity crushes the lungs, but they keep moving, because falling behind means the entire squad suffers. Next comes the combat crawl through thorn bushes, on scorching soil, skin tearing, uniforms shredded. But nobody stops. Pain is not a warning here, it's a requirement. Then the instructors send them into the water, muddy, brown, ice-cold rivers. Crawling with insects and snapping branches beneath the surface, commandos dive in without hesitation, swimming against currents strong enough to pull a man under. When they come out, they go straight into hand-to-hand drills, wet, exhausted, still fighting now the infamous log carry. A massive tree trunk lifted by the squad, pressed against bruised shoulders. They run with it, they drop with it, they rise with it again. Not because they have strength left, but because they refuse to be the weak link. Then, without warning, the instructors push them into night operations. No lights, no comfort. Just darkness, jungle sounds, and the pressure to move silently while fatigue claws at their minds. Every rustle could be an enemy. Every step could give them away. And finally, the live-fire jungle assault. Real bullets snapping through trees, explosions shaking the ground, smoke burning their lungs under chaos. They learn the one rule UPDF commandos live by. Fear nothing. Not the enemy, not the terrain, not the pain. By the end, only a handful remain. Their bodies beaten, their minds sharpened, their spirits unbreakable. This is UPDF commando training, where warriors aren't just made, they're reborn. This is India's commando training, the place where limits die and only the toughest remain. From the moment recruits step into the field, they're thrown into obstacles that break their muscles, crush their lungs, and test every drop of mental strength they have left. The first challenge looks simple, so until you try it. A steep wall that demands explosive power, perfect timing, and zero fear. If you hesitate for 1 second, you slide back down, and the instructors don't let you walk away. They force you to climb it again and again until your arms burn like fire. Then comes the double rope crossing. Hanging high above the ground, balancing your entire body weight on nothing but grip strength and core tension. One slip, you fall straight into the safety net, and trust me, falling isn't the problem. The punishment after falling is. Next is the metal monkey bar maze. This thing is engineered to destroy your shoulders. Each bar is spaced just far enough to force maximum stretch, and if your momentum dies for even a second, you're stuck. And the entire obstacle resets. Commandos must move like machines here, fast, precise, and without emotion. But the rope tower, that's where fear shows itself. Climbing dozens of feet into the sky with nothing but a rope twisting in the wind. Your legs shake. Your hands slip. The ground looks a lot farther when you look down. But commandos aren't allowed to look down. They climb or they quit. Then comes the giant net wall, a monster obstacle towering above the entire course. The ropes cut into your fingers, the sun burns your back, and the wind pushes you like it wants you to fall. Most people freeze at the top. Commandos are forced to cross over it without stopping. And finally, the part everyone fears. The mud trench. Crawling through freezing water, thick mud, and suffocating dirt while instructors scream at you nonstop. If your head rises even an inch above the trench line, you redo the entire thing. If one soldier slows down, the entire squad gets punished. This is the SAS, the unit every soldier fears to enter, and every enemy fears to meet. Their training doesn't start with running or shooting. It starts with breaking your comfort, breaking your limits, and breaking every excuse your mind ever created. Day one begins with the infamous fan dance, a brutal march across the freezing, wind-shattered mountains of Wales. No music, no motivation, just a rucksack heavier than your body and a clock that never stops. If you fall behind for even a minute, you're gone. The mountain chooses who continues and who quits. Next comes navigation under pressure. Alone in total silence, recruits cross miles of hostile terrain with nothing but a map, a compass, and a heart that refuses to quit. If you take the wrong turn, no one comes to save you. You fail. You leave. Then there's resistance training. That's the phase that makes the SAS legendary. Recruits are pushed into scenarios where fear becomes real. Stress, confusion, darkness, and voices that never stop. They're taught how to stay calm when the world collapses around them. Because in real missions, hesitation kills. And finally, Killing House CQB. The deadliest room-to-room training in the world live rounds. Zero margin for error. One mistake means the mission dies. Precision becomes instinct. Violence becomes controlled. Your mind becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. Only a handful make it to the end. Not because they're the strongest, but because nothing, not pain, not fear, not failure, can break them. This is the SAS, where soldiers are stripped to nothing and rebuilt into legends. If you made it this far, you're not just watching. You're built different. These trainings break thousands of soldiers every year, but you survived all of them in one video. If you want more brutal, real military content, hit subscribe because the next episode goes even deeper. And if you think you're ready, choose your next mission from the videos on screen.